Hello and welcome to Pride of London Fan TV. Ali here, bringing you my match review of the game at Loftus Road between QPR and Palace, a pre-season friendly which finished 3-0 to the Eagles, our second game in 48 hours, hot off the back of the pre-season international tour game against Leeds United. It's like a back-to-back episode of Love Island. Yesterday was a bit of a non-episode, but today we coupled up with Doucoure and it was already looking like a beautiful relationship. Is quite naughty with him in behind Wilfried Zaha and Eze, but we'll come on to that in a moment. Usually I'd say let's do the usual features, which would be Vieira's rating, but I can't really give Vieira a rating considering he wasn't there. But that's a good place to start. Let's give the backroom staff who've been in England massive credit. They've got these players looking sharp, looking ready. I'm really excited for the start of the season after today. Big credit to the backroom staff for what they've done in England and also on the international tour as well. But let's go through the team. I think the best way to tell the story of the game today would be to go through the 11 who started the game. And let's start in goal with Joe Whitworth. I thought a really, really good game for someone so young, so composed. He has a brilliant distribution. I think possibly the best distribution I've seen of a Crystal Palace goalkeeper. There was one point where he just sprayed the ball out to Zaha on the left-hand side. The other thing I'd say about him is that's the first time I've watched an academy goalie and thought, you could be a Palace #1 in a few years' time. I don't want to hype him up too much, but we know he's been doing big things in the academy. And I think with a vocal Palace crowd behind him today, I have to say I really enjoyed today. Usually you go to pre-season, it's a bit flat. There was a really good atmosphere in the stand today. And I think that's a big tick for him today, you know, to come through that clean sheet, couple of decent saves, didn't really get tested. There was one moment where he got a bit iffy with his feet, was a bit of a dodgy back pass, but he recovered from it. And yeah, I even walked away thinking, you know, if we get a sort of reasonable draw in the Carabao Cup, I wouldn't mind seeing him in there, although we have bought Sam Johnston, haven't we? So a really massive well done to Whitworth today. Let's go on to the left back, Jairo Riddlewald, who played left back today. I thought he did really well. I thought he made a couple of really decent through balls to Wilfried Zaha. And we know, I think with Riddlewald, is the thing about him is his versatility, and he can also go into central midfield, can't he? And I think that's a big plus through a season. At some point, you're going to need a player like Jairo Riddlewald, as his important goal he scored in the FA Cup last season proved. And by all intents and purposes, he's meant to be a really good character around the dressing room and the training ground as well. So for me, I would retain Riddlewald. I thought he was pretty sound today. He's not a starter for me, but he's someone who can be called upon if required. The big thing in the defence, really, everyone was talking about in the stands, was Tompkins and Ferguson were like the wrong way round, you'd have thought Ferguson would be at right back, Tompkins would be in the middle, but Ferguson played very well, I thought, at centre back. He was composed on the ball, good at passing out from the back, which we know is a big thing for Vieira. A couple of really good interventions. And yeah, and the best positive to see him out there and not get injured as well. He seemed to come through injury-free. Not such a big fan of Tompkins on the right. And you have to look at it with Tompkins. He's just signed a contract. I think Tompkins is always very solid for us on the whole, but you got to look at it, and he must be wondering about the pecking order with Richards coming in from Bayern Munich. You've got Ferguson, who can be used as a centre-back. He's used Joel Ward as a centre-back in pre-season, and obviously you've got Anderson and Gahey. You wonder whether Tompkins is slipping further down that pecking order, really. I still like to see Nathan Ferguson at right back at some point, although I think Nathaniel Klein's been superbly solid recently. But I do wonder as well, I don't know, some people have a theory that maybe he's putting that centre-back because he's less likely to get injured. I don't know if that's the thing. You get more injured as a fullback. But it's just really promising to see Ferguson come through unscathed. Can't say the same about Gahey. He did pick up an injury. The only negative of today, let's hope it's not a big one, yet to hear any news on that. Didn't look too bad. Going into the central free midfield, I've been saying the last few weeks that I reckon he will start against Arsenal with Doucoure, Schlupp and Eze. And again, he chose those three, Will Hughes on the bench. And I think Schlupp will get in over Will Hughes. I think he loves a bit of Schlupp, does Vieira. In particular, in the second half, he played really well with some bursting runs through forward. And I thought he was really, really crucial to our very good second half performance, Schlupp. And I think that energy that he has getting up and down will be even more important this season to negate the loss of Conor Gallagher, who of course had boundless energy. I think Schlupp starts for me. I think Doucoure obviously will start. Doucoure had a very, very good game, winning the ball back. His use of the ball was very good. So a couple of really good passes, good ball retention, everything you kind of imagined him to be. He is a big upgrade on Kiate for me. Nothing against Kiate, but he is a big upgrade on him, and very, very excited. Obviously, the proof in the pudding will be in a few weeks' time. Obviously, all of these games have the caveat that, you know, it's against QPR, although a decent championship team, we dispatched what was in front of us, but Arsenal will be a different beast entirely. But I think, you know, Doucoure will be more than able to hold up to Arsenal's midfield. I don't think their central midfield is that good, to be honest, and I expect him to slot straight in, and I'm really, really excited to see him in behind the likes of Zaha, feeding them. I think he is going to be a top signing. Eze, just great to see him fit and ready to start the season, which of course was nowhere near the case this time last season. That's a massive plus for us this season. Love the way he was coming in deep at times. Look, some people question whether he can do the central role. He did it very well today. He has to prove he can do it consistently in the Premier League level, because obviously Roy Hodgson used to shunt him at left wing all the time, which is akin to when Sven used to shunt Scholes to the left. But I cannot wait to see him given a predominant role through the middle, and he played very, very well today against his former team. A superb finish in the first half, the first 1-0 up at half time. And I thought it was classy that he didn't celebrate against his former team. It shows that he respects the people who've helped develop him. And that, for me, I liked it when he did that. I had no issue with it at all. In front of Eze, and he was feeding off what was in front of him a lot today, buzzing off around the likes of Zaha and Benteke. On the right hand side, actually starting today was Luke Plunge, and I was excited to see him. I think Luke Plunge, will be a player who might feature a little bit in the Carabao Cup and then will loan out to the Championship. I'm not convinced where he started today on the right hand side suits him. He didn't really take on many players. He looks a good finisher. I think he needs to play through the middle, but he'll need to learn about how to play that role in the Premier League. But he looks a decent prospect. He didn't put a foot wrong really, but he didn't do anything great. I think we'll see bits of him maybe in the cups, and then I think he'll get a loan to the Championship team. But, you know, long term, he could be someone. He looks a very, very useful player and a very intelligent player. Left-hand side, of course, Wilfried Zaha, who is looking more than ready to start the Premier League. I think it's the best I've seen him in pre-season. Obviously, a terrific first goal. Did take maybe a little bit of a deflection, but I was watching him in the warm-up today, and he been getting annoyed with himself when he was missing. And his absolute intensity and will to do well at all times. I say it all the time, I will never get the criticism of him. He is just somebody who wants to win. And he really is looking ready. If I'm Arsenal watching that performance today, I'm worried. Again, a big season for him, because obviously now in the 60s in terms of Premier League goals, he's looking towards joining the 100 goal club. He gets another good tally, 14 last season. He really is starting to look at whether he can join that 100 Premier League goal club. Obviously, he just doesn't need to join Roma, because that won't do that any good for him. Anyway, up front, Christian Benteke. We saw the good and the ugly of him today. Superb layoff for Zaha's goal. Won the penalty. And then he missed that chance. Although I'm told it was actually offside. But judging by Benteke's reaction, he didn't know he was offside. And I think he needed a goal. And he needed a goal today for me to be considered to start against Arsenal, in my opinion. I think Mateta obviously scored against Leeds yesterday. And for me, Mateta retains the shirt. Benteke has been linked. There's been a lot of discussion whether we should accept any bids for him. For me, every player's got a price. If you got a good offer for Benteke, I'd probably take the money. At the same time, I'd be more than happy to go into the season with him as a good option. And there's an argument maybe we should, with Vieira, doesn't seem to be regarding Edouard as someone who's going to be considered strongly through the middle, which I've said I am disappointed about, because for me, I'd have liked to have seen Edouard given a run and a real try through the middle in pre-season, which hasn't materialised. He used him wide against Leeds yesterday. I just think his quick feet in the box would just be lethal through the middle if given a prolonged run and kept faith with. But it doesn't seem to be an option I think Vieira is going with. So if you go with Mateta as the main man, I think Benteke is more than a capable understudy and someone to put pressure on Mateta. And the link-up play with Zaha and Eze was very, very good at times in the second half from Benteke. Let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments below. Would you keep Benteke? Or if we got an offer that's reasonable. Would you sell Benteke? What do you think the future is? Who do you think we start with up front against Arsenal? Who would be your striker going into the season? Do we need another one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think it's an interesting topic at the moment. Man of the match for me, Wilfried Zaha, as I said, absolutely on fire. I didn't even think he was in fourth gear, really, probably in third gear. But when he got a little bit near QPR's goal, a little glint in his eye came and he did some unreal runs. There's one point where he ran past a few players, then had to check back, run through a few others, and then lay it off. He was just on absolute top form. I'm excited for what the season brings with him. Let's hope it's in red and blue. You're never quite happy until the transfer window slams shut, but I think he will be. A lot of people are saying, could it be his last season with his contract running up? Let's just enjoy him while we can. What a special player we have with Wilfried Zaha, and a special goal today. But a lot of people walking away thinking we've got a special season coming up this season with the way that we played. It was a bit weird being this optimistic pre-season as a Palace fan, but everyone in that stands walked away very, very happy today. We've got to get the squad back together now. We've got to get the players who've been on the international tour back with the players in England. And we've got to, Vieira himself has said that we've got some tactical work to do over the next few weeks, and we can work on that against Montpellier coming up next week at Selhurst. And we've got to be ready for Arsenal on that Friday night under lights at Selhurst, because obviously we want to do what we did to them last season. As always, leave some comments below. As I said, what do you think of Benteke? Would you take the money you've offered? Who would be your forward, your main striker for us next season? And as always, if you have liked what you've seen, please press that subscribe button. But it was all a bit naughty today with Eze and Zaha, naughtier than a Boris Johnson lockdown party. It's looking good. Let's hope we're feeling glad all over next weekend too when we face Montpellier.